They want control of their own destiny. They want the freedom to host it where they want. They want this, the ability to scale it on their terms.
Welcome to the DesignRush podcast. I'm your host, Kia Johnson. Today's guest is Tamara Niesen, Chief Marketing Officer at WooCommerce. She's a B2B marketing executive with over 20 years of experience leading go-to-market growth at companies like Shopify, Housecall Pro, and BlackBerry. At WooCommerce, Tamara is driving how agencies plug into open source to build flexible, scalable, and future-ready commerce solutions. In this episode, she shares how WooCommerce is empowering agencies as long-term growth partners and why open source gives brands a real edge in control, customization, and enterprise-level performance. Listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or watch the full episode on YouTube, and don't forget to subscribe. Tamara, it's such a pleasure to have you here on the DesignRush podcast. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing fabulous.
Tamara, you have built a career at the intersection of strategy, technology, and partnerships. I mean, you've helped some of the biggest players in software and e-commerce, basically sharpening how they go to market, how they scale, and how they succeed. And now with WooCommerce, I mean, you're not only shaping how the platform grows, but also how agencies can plug in, how they can innovate, and also deliver more value to their clients. Now, as a brand side leader, what is your best advice for agencies looking to become a trusted partner for WooCommerce or similar enterprise software brands?
I genuinely view it as an extension of our team. We are not a massive organization, and I actually truly believe that we can better serve merchants by partnering with agencies who truly know them inside and out. And so we want them to be a part of our team. We want them to be deep experts in our architecture, our APIs, understanding our extension or app ecosystem. I'll use those words interchangeably, and our performance patterns. They should really understand what sets open source apart from closed SaaS platform solutions as well. I think that's where we see a lot of success is these agencies are deeply passionate about what open source can offer versus these closed SaaS platforms. And that's because they get to be builders. We think that they can position themselves not only as creators and builders, but also because they are extensions of our team, we want them to be stewards of WooCommerce, but also stewards of open source. They can offer multiple services. They can be a partner long-term that helps not only businesses and brands, achieve their goals, but also help them think outside the box and build something truly unique to what they need. And so I think that's a really powerful thing in our ecosystem and the partnerships that we have with agencies.
Well, you're touching on a couple of things there right now, so I'd love to find it from you, from your perspective. What unique value does WooCommerce bring specifically to agencies that build on your platform?
It really begins with this open source advantage. We do offer this, flexibility, endless customizability, and freedom that you don't get with that closed environment. And so not only do we allow merchants to build there and have that freedom, but agencies as well. And so it allows them to offer this value proposition of having full ownership of their site, of their data. They have access to their own code. And so we really shine with, agencies that understand that, but also merchants or brands that want that. They want control of their own destiny. They want the freedom to host it where they want. They want this, the ability to scale it on their terms. And oftentimes we talk about, scalability and total cost of ownership, but that doesn't necessarily mean cheap. It just means on your terms, scale on your terms, take what you need, nothing you don't. And agencies can help merchants realize that by building those solutions accordingly. And if I can add one more plug to this, it's also, Woo is built on WordPress, which is the world's most trusted and popular CMS. It powers over 43.5% of the internet. That's massive.
Massive.
Yeah. And those who are involved in that community, they're truly passionate about it. And they understand the value and, the power of many, if you will, to help all boats rise. And I think what's really interesting, too, is that, there's a lot of opinions on open source. And I'm actually relatively new to open source. I've only been at Woo for a year and a half. And my first time in this environment, it's really cool. And it's really amazing to see the profound advocacy from the community. And they're all contributing to this. But so we're the largest technology partners in the world. And so open source doesn't mean losing access to best in breed. In fact, it's quite the opposite. We've got, our agencies have access to our extensions that are built by and partnered with Google, TikTok, Klaviyo, PayPal, Avalara, Stripe, Meta, and so many more. And so access to that is more than just access to WooCommerce.
Tamara, can you share a recent example where WooCommerce helped an agency scale a client's e-commerce business? And what stood out about the agency, how the agency rather used your ecosystem itself?
Yeah, we have a few of these, but one that I'll point out because I think it speaks to the complexity of some of our brands and how our agencies help solve that complexity. We have a agency based in Norway, Maximer. Actually, we were at Shop Talk together a few months ago, so shout out to the team there. They're a certified Woo agency partner. They're part of our Automattic for Agencies program, which I'm happy to chat about as well. And they took scalability, if you will, to the next level for a company called Kellogg's, also out of Norway. They're the largest importer of motorized products for both land and sea. They're a B2B wholesaler with more than 800,000 SKUs. And I think that's one of the most complex parts, 800,000 SKUs. And the fact that, managing that comes with a whole new layer of complexity, but also scale and performance that are required. And so these are the type of customers that we're attracting in general. And then it's really the power of the agency that comes in to make that solution whole. They connected Kellogg's with the real power of Woo, if you will. And they did something really cool. They created their own custom solution that helps how they update and track transactions. And so they were able to build their own solutions on top of Woo, adding even that added layer of value to the merchant. And it's, that integration with the architecture, the open source nature of our platform that allowed them to do this. And then on the back end of the Kellogg's WooCommerce store, their scalability work really focused on bulk product updates and management. So when these product updates are happening, they can sync instantly up to, hundreds of thousands of products at a time, which was really a need that this merchant had given, the 800,000 SKUs. And we hear this story all the time. And so we're always excited to hear how agencies are solving for these. And they're doing it, if I may say, at a fraction of the cost. And they're building entirely customized solutions on their own.
Now, what would you say are 2 or 3 qualities that you see in top performing agencies within your partner network that really differentiate them?
One part that I, maybe won't call it a performance piece, and I'll get into those. I do have 3, but to round it out and speak to what I think is really special about the environment that I get to work in every day is the genuine connection that we have, and this common shared goal of truly serving merchants in an open source environment to help them do unique things. I think when we see that, we know it, we feel it. We're often coming together and talking about a customer where maybe they're having a challenge. We put our heads together and try and figure out unique solutions that maybe the merchant's not even thinking about. Everyone always has this vision, but sometimes how you get to that vision requires some creative thinking. We love doing that with our agencies. But on top of it, they do offer, the bespoke capabilities. They're offering tailored premium solutions that are built around those unique business needs. It's not just this one size fits all, because the reality is no business is one size fits all. And for those who are willing to really sink their teeth into that, there's a lot of upside. And these agencies are often full service providers as well. They're creating websites is really just the beginning of what they can offer. We want them to provide ongoing support, a full suite of services, all the way from development and performance optimization to marketing and strategy. Let's help our shared customers, merchants, clients. I realize I'm saying all those all interchangeably, but helping them thrive at every stage. And of course, it goes without saying they have to be dependable. We want proven track records where we can. They've built scalable, high-performing stores, and they're trusted agencies, and they're recognized to merchants as experts. And then if we could really add some icing on the cake, we would want them to really be truly believers in open source and understand when that open source value is the right fit for a merchant.
Now, speaking about agencies, you're touching on a couple of things here, and I'd love for you to, this just actually brings me into my next question, just in terms of WooCommerce itself, when WooCommerce then considers a new agency partner, some of the things that you just mentioned, I'm sure these are the things that you kind of evaluate, when you're going to be choosing an agency partner. But in terms of the exact process that you and your team use, how exactly do you do that? How does that unfold when you are busy evaluating an agency partner?
Well, maybe I'll go through in the context of the Automattic for Agency program and how we, onboard them if they're reaching out, or how we might reach out to them and try and get them into our ecosystem. The reality is it is free to join, so anyone can sign up. And in terms of being featured in our program specifically and making sure that, when a merchant lands on WooCommerce and they're looking for agency support, one, we do try to promote that because we know that a lot of our successful merchants are builder-led. We like to refer to it as, AKA they are working with an agency. We want them to demonstrate proficiency in core areas like security, performance, and usability, kind of the table stakes, you know what I mean? And then in terms of getting for like WooCommerce recognition, we want them to submit 5 sites, all of which are reviewed for compatibility with WooCommerce blocks and overall payment gateway functionality. So those are, 2 of the core pieces, the blocks and the overall payment gateway functionality, excuse me. And then, as that gets built up, as we have more success, we move through the tiered system. So we have various tiers available, and benefits increase by that tier. The quality of the tier, agencies must be featured in our Automattic agency directory, and they need to generate a certain amount of what we call influenced automatic revenue, or IAR, across our products. And the value here is that it's not just Woo that you have access to. You as an Automattic agency partner, I'm a little bit selfish here. I'm on the Woo side of things. However, I want to see Automattic thrive, and we have a portfolio of products that are best in class as well. And so that includes WordPress.com. It includes WordPress VIP for our enterprise customers. It includes Jetpack. It includes a few other products as well. But that's really the core of what we have access to. And so stitching those together is another way to, climb up those tiers and gain credibility in the program.
So then what is the one mistake that you often see agencies make when pitching to partner with you? And then also, what would you recommend they actually do differently?
I think it's really striking this balance between open source software and, driving profitability is an interesting tension. Because the reality is agencies and Woo both need to pay employees to, contribute back to open source. And there's a little bit of tension there. And so I think understanding that tension, understanding the balance, and, when to push perhaps products or services that, come at a high cost, it really needs to be customer first. It really needs to be able to drive back that value to the customer. As we tout this differentiation of, total cost of ownership, scale on your terms, yet there are obviously going to be costs involved. So I think we have to be mindful of that, and really put the customer first and pushing on what they're getting out of it and making sure it's the right thing for them.
Now, say, for example, I'm an agency leader and I'm listening today and I want to become a top WooCommerce partner. What are the first 3 steps that you'd recommend that I then take to make sure that I can be a partner and achieve that? Yeah.
First, I would say build deep Woo expertise. I'll be, the first to say that it's not the most simple necessarily out of the box. It can be, but in order to build, the right solution, it might be a little bit more complex. So be a part of Team Woo. We want people to live in our ecosystem and know it inside and out. We love when folks advocate for the value of open source, and we want them to participate in WooCommerce, WordPress events, forums, and contribute back to the open source project. But this is also starting to take more shape with WooCommerce as, we look to move up market. And I think that's an important point to make, and I'll come back to the next 2, but WooCommerce has a very unique set of customers who are very successful. They're building really unique experiences. They're solving complex problems. And we are able to do that because of agencies. And so we're tapping into that. We're having more focus. And we want to start showing up at events with our partners and industry events, not just WordCamps, but, I mentioned Shop Talk. We want to show up there. eCommerce Expo we were just at a couple of weeks ago. And there's more to come on that. So we want to start showing up like that. But we also want to share shared success stories. We want to share this publicly. Blogs, talks, case studies. Yeah, and we've had some awesome agencies that we've partnered with that are bringing insights to us, to me personally as well. I've formed some great relationships with agencies over the last year and a half, but they're also bringing customer case studies and insights to webinars, to these events. We even have folks writing white papers and thought leadership content because they're the ones that truly know the merchant inside and out. And they're seeing these bespoke solutions, and they want to share that with the world, and we want to help amplify that. But we also want to hear from them, what is the feedback? What are you seeing? Where are people struggling? Like, let's go and fix that and influence so we can build a better roadmap to serve them together. So I think that open communication is critical. So that kind of captures my build deep Woo expertise. But the second piece to this, and I've got 3 as you've asked for, is to deliver beyond the build. So expand your services. Our best agencies aren't just providing this site build and handing the keys over and leaving. It's ongoing support. It's an ongoing relationship that is built on authenticity. Those are the ones that are going to be around for the long term and be successful. They help merchants evolve their stores and see that success through. They're long-term advisors and operational partners, if you will. And then lastly, of course, we want you to join the Automattic for Agencies program. Let's make this official. Let's get in that union together and sign up. So, and then you have that access to those other best-in-breed Automattic services and products as well. And we truly believe through that program, we can help agencies also thrive. So, it's a unique situation where agencies and Woo are working to help merchants thrive, but Automattic and Woo want to help agencies thrive as well. And we do that through that program.
I'm loving what I'm hearing right now because it's just this very inclusive space. And within the inclusive space, and because there are so many shared hands, it's just this space where you're learning all the time, and it's a place of refinement. And at the end of the day, I just sometimes, and I'm sure you've come across this as well, that some organizations feel that perhaps performing in a silo style format is actually the best way to be.
I do too. The inclusivity, I love that you called that out. That's a really important component. And it's always interesting when you take your personal values and you get to bring them to work. It's a really special thing.
Brilliant. Now, I'm very excited because WooCommerce has actually recently released version 10.1, right? And there's so many different exciting improvements. There's the checkout performance, the payment handling for this version. So can you walk us through the strategy behind this updates and then how agencies are expected to benefit from them?
Absolutely. So 10.1, we're actually on 10.2, but we'll just focus on 10.1 in terms of the updates. There was just some tweaks made. So overall, it focused on performance, optimization, developer flexibility, and reducing friction in the shopping experience would be the key themes here. And from this, both merchants and developers in our agency ecosystem can expect faster checkout. So we've completely overhauled the checkout blocks loading logic. The page structure now renders immediately, while dynamic elements use targeted skeleton loaders. And I'm also going to say some things that if you ask me more questions about, I might not be able to answer. But we'll go through them. And what that resulted in, though, and this one everyone knows and feels, is that it reduced visual flicker. There's better perceived load times and low cart abandonment risk. So really great stuff there. Also enhanced product collections. So we added 2 new product collection types, products by category and products by tag, which results in faster site builds and less custom code. And you can now create sophisticated product grids directly in the block editor without that manual configuration. We restored decimal quantity support. So if you're building for industries that sell by weight, volume, or fractional units, your extensions or integrations now work seamlessly again. And kind of going back to those unique, brands, like our brands are selling unique things, and it's not just a direct to consumer, apparel brand. Like there's real challenges in terms of the types of products they're selling or SKU counts or variants. And these are things that help, reduce that friction. And then there's, in terms of the benefits here for agencies and their clients, at the end of the day, it means better conversion rates, faster site builds with less custom code, and more functions for stores that have those unique product needs like weight-based or other volume inventory capabilities. And overall, more great features, better block support, and faster performance.
That's amazing.
And then specifically around 10.2, because I mentioned that was more recently released. So 10.2, we sped up cart blocks, we added product collection carousel, new taxonomy filter blocks, and added beta support for order fulfillments. And there's more going on there. If I can add a tag here, I would say check out developer.woocommerce.com.
Tamara, how do you ensure agencies can adopt and promote new features quickly and effectively with their clients? I just want to, just coming off this question right now, I did see that you did something amazing with a NutriBullet. And I mean, I think they went up by like 35%. And obviously they were like a little custom fit, style client. So I think this kind of like touches on that. So yeah, if you can expand, that'd be great.
Absolutely. And that's kind of our ethos. We want to get these product updates to our agencies and our merchants immediately so they can see those immediate results. And what a great example to pull up. Thanks for sharing that. We want to communicate with agency partners at every single stage of developing, both with core WooCommerce, but also, the extensions and the applications that we talked about, because those are part of the power of our offering. Our whole product offering is the power of those really tight, well done integrations and services that they rely on. So this might include our payment solutions, Woo Payments, or other extension payment providers, because you can bring your own payments to Woo, Automate Woo, and more. And so in practice, that means that we're always encouraging our agencies to stay glued to that developer website, but we also have Slack communities that they can join. And so we're constantly having conversations in there. Our product folks are in there. Our developer community marketers are in there. Our product marketers are in there. Our engineers are in there. And so we're constantly having this open communication. We're part of the same team. And we want to make sure they have as much advanced notice and awareness and any changes coming to Woo. We also want to get their feedback too. What needs to be done next? What should we prioritize? And now we're building and expanding that with Automattic for affiliates. So trying to expand our community even more so. And at the end of the day, the sooner we can inform agency partners, the sooner they can implement and manage changes with their clients, both, on the, proactive, let's go do great things together, or in some cases, in some fixes.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a win-win all around. So that's absolutely amazing. So can you share a story then of how a new WooCommerce feature actually directly led to measurable success for a partner or brand?
Yeah, absolutely. So recently we actually published a case study on this a few months ago about our Woo merchant, Boost Oxygen, and their use of Klaviyo. So Boost Oxygen is the world's leading seller of portable supplemental oxygen. So literally oxygen that you can take with you when you need it. They hold 99% market share in portable oxygen canisters, and they moved to Woo. They didn't say they moved to Woo. They've been on Woo since 2011 to manage their online sales alongside their 8,000 plus retail locations. So quite a footprint for this company. And what's really cool is that they've done everything in-house, from manufacturing to fulfillment, all in-house. And in 2024, so not that long ago, they onboarded to Klaviyo for WooCommerce. Klaviyo is our preferred automation platform to set up their email and SMS marketing efforts, although Klaviyo does a lot more than that, and I know that they're going to tap into it. But knowing that this is, a fully built with Woo powerhouse extension or integration, they've seen a big response in sales, leading them to make bigger and bigger investments in marketing channels. They continue to see strong year-over-year growth, partly attributed to their new focus on advertising via the Woo and Klaviyo integration. And we're really proud of this one because they've been on Woo for over a decade, and they've scaled on their terms, as I referenced earlier. They've done it on their terms. They've added new growth levers as they saw fit and brought them into their tech stack and integrated, in a smooth way. But it shows that they can, these established businesses can really unlock growth by adopting these new integrations and solutions without having to switch platforms. So we love this story.
My next question, I'm quite curious about this one because, of course, I mean, you've been talking about this quite a bit now. WooCommerce actually sits at this intersection of open source flexibility, right? But then also enterprise level scalability. So what I would like to find out is like, how do you balance that tension when positioning the platform to agencies?
So, I mentioned that there are some tensions in open source and profitability.
Yes.
But I don't know that there is a tension in ability to serve enterprise scalability with open source. I actually think it's a competitive advantage, and it enables enterprises to do what they need to be able to do without being confined. And so, flexibility, in our opinion, is what creates that scalability. So unlike closed SaaS platforms, they lock you into rigid templates and upgrade paths. We really let agencies build solutions that scale with each of the client's needs. And I think what's really neat about that is the agency gets to be the steward of what that should be while working and partnering with the merchant. Creative thinking, putting heads together and saying, okay, this is the path we should take, as opposed to, do you want to pick path 1, 2, or 3? Because those are the only options. And it's not, we mentioned the Kellogg's case, 800,000 SKUs. That's possible because Maximer built on top of Woo and created a solution that really fit their needs. And so it's not just about, I think a common belief is that enterprise scalability is traffic and security. And of course, those are table stakes, but it's about adapting to this complex industry-specific requirements in many cases, and having the flexibility to bring on what you need, like payment methods, for example. The other thing is that merchants own their store forever. When we talk to agencies, we emphasize that merchants get to own clients, their clients get to own their own code, their own data, their own destiny. SaaS platforms can change pricing at any given time. They can deprecate features or shut down entirely. And of course that, there's risk everywhere in the world. But with Woo, agencies can promise this long-term stability and control. And we see a healthy future for the open source project that I've been referring to. And we'd be remiss if we didn't give a nod to the community here. It's how we provide enterprise support at scale, with positioning WordPress as, dominating the internet as a CMS. There's a massive developer community behind that, and they add infinite value to that project. And so if an agency needs to solve a problem, the community is there. They want to help. They're eager to help. And they want to shape the best WordPress and the best WooCommerce out there. And we have the tech partners too. We've got amazing partnerships with the biggest tech partners in the world. And they're eager to serve our merchants as well. And they want to do that with agencies. They're hungry to partner with agencies and provide them the support they need to provide the best-in-class solution to their clients.
Tamara, what would you say is an underrated tool, tactic, or feature in WooCommerce that agencies actually often overlook, but that can drive serious results?
So this actually comes from some of our agencies sharing this. And this would be to highlight WooCommerce REST API and Store API. So these are powerful features that basically let your store talk directly with other software systems, websites, mobile apps, CRMs, etc. And then, going back to the enterprise thing, like this is really an important component to being able to stitch these solutions together. And so many agencies know that WooCommerce has APIs, but they might default to building something or everything through the WordPress and WooCommerce admin interface and standard themes, but they're really missing out on larger opportunities. So for example, first, REST API offers headless commerce without the complexity. The Store API powers our block-based cart and checkout, but agencies can also use it to build complexity on custom front ends. And if they want to build a mobile app, a custom React storefront, a kiosk interface, the Store API gives you cart, checkout, and product data with I can never get this one easily off the tongue, authentication built in.
Here we go.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get WooCommerce's proven eCommerce logic with that freedom on the presentation layer. The feature also offers automation and integration gold. Agencies can build custom dashboards, inventory management tools, or automated workflows using the REST API. And an agency might build a custom vendor portal for a marketplace client that syncs directly to WooCommerce via the API, which could save months of development time. And then integration with external systems. So I mentioned the CRMs, but also ERP and fulfillment systems. And then lastly, the REST API provides performance optimization. By selectively using the APIs, agencies can reduce page weight and load, and only the data they need.
Now, looking ahead, what role do you see agencies playing in the future growth of WooCommerce, and also what new opportunities should they be preparing for now?
I would love to do more with agencies, period. I shared this at the beginning, but the interesting place or piece of working in open source is, we don't have thousands and thousands of people thinking about marketing and go to market. We're a fairly lean team, a mighty team, if I might. But the power is by partnering with our agencies in our ecosystem. And so I want to be able to do more of that. They are a critical part of growing and expanding our overall number of Woo merchants that are online. So I look to agencies to say, how can we get more? How can we provide more value to merchants via Woo? How can we bring more Woo to the world? And they're an incredible growth lever for WooCommerce, especially as we bring more high-value merchants into the ecosystem or onto the platform. We look at high-value merchants as, successful merchants that have complex needs, that do have an appetite to working with agencies, and they really want to do unique things. And so we're actually seeing more of these come because they don't want to accept the high cost of SaaS platforms out of the gate. They have these highly complex needs, and they believe that they can solve for them in a more efficient manner or cost-effective manner with Woo and an agency. And if they, process a high volume of transactions, racking up those fees happens really fast. And so we want agencies to help us bring more Woo merchants onto the platform, but we also want them to help them stay here for the long term. So understanding what that means, understanding, what type of host should they be on given the long-term goals and potential of this merchant. Let's set them up for success from day one so they're not constantly having to pivot back and forth. Because I think that's a common, a common myth, if you will, for WooCommerce is that, large merchants will outgrow us. No, they won't. It's just a matter of making sure we build them the right tech stack. So I think going back to your question, we need to be opinionated, and so do our agencies. And by opinionated, I mean providing the best possible solution and informing and educating merchants on what that can be. But it also means they have to truly understand what those are.
Thank you so much for sharing such valuable insights. I feel like I've learned so much. I feel like our audience has learned so much. Really appreciate your time and wishing you the best on this journey. I think you are the absolute perfect fit for WooCommerce, and I look forward to seeing what the future holds for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a lovely conversation. Thank you.
Curious about what top brands look for when choosing an agency? Tune into our latest episodes where we reveal the decision-making secrets of leading brands. Subscribe to the DesignRush podcast and stay ahead of the competition.